Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. Today, we're going to be ranking my top 10 most anticipated movies for this year. 2026 is going to be a huge year for movies. There's going to be a lot of movies that could potentially make $1 billion this year. The box office is potentially going to be booming. There is so many projects to be excited for. It was really hard to narrow this down to a list of 10. So I am going to start off with some honorable mentions. Let's dive into those. Okay, so I'm going to start off with Dune 3, and part of the reason why I want to start off with this as an honorable mention, I think that the visuals will be absolutely incredible. I think that the direction has been phenomenal, but if they're basing this off of the Dune Messiah book, one of the main characters is Duncan Idaho, and they kind of like pull away from the Paul Atreides side of things, and I think that with these movies, Timothée Chalamet has been the focal point. He's been the most important character, and he is so breathtaking and phenomenal in this movie that if you pull away from Timothée Chalamet a little bit and you make the main character Jason Momoa, I will be incredibly disappointed. I still think that this movie can be great, and I think that Denis Villeneuve has done a phenomenal job with these past couple of movies, but I don't think I have a whole lot of faith, and I'm not 100% sure this movie will actually come out this year. I would not be totally shocked if this movie gets pushed to March of the year after, so that's why it's not on the list. The next one, we have Scream 7. This is a movie that has a lot of like messy stuff going on behind the scenes, but I think one of the main reasons why I don't have it higher up on my list and I'm not super duper insanely excited about this movie is this movie comes out about a month from now, the day that I'm recording this, and it still has just the original trailer. They have not brought up more advertising at all. They haven't done anything to kind of like ramp up the marketing for this movie. They don't seem to have faith in this movie. And when a film studio itself is not really doing a lot to sell you on a movie, that's usually not an incredible sign. I am insanely excited for Matthew Lillard to return. I think that these movies have all consistently been great. Like with the exception of Scream 4, I think that every single Scream movie is fantastic. Like I think that these movies are consistently great. So I have faith that it'll be a good movie, but I'm slowly losing faith, so it's not going to be in my top 10. Okay, and then the last little set of honorable mentions, there are 4 really good movies coming out my birthday weekend, February 13th. There are 4 movies coming out that all look insanely good and have potential to be great, so I'm just kind of going to rapid fire through those. The movie Goat. This is an animated movie by Sony Pictures, who has done K-Pop Demon Hunter and both of the Spider-Verse movies that are absolutely phenomenal. I think if nothing else, the animation on this film is probably going to be absolutely breathtaking. And overall, even if it becomes a very cliche sports ball movie, I think that the voice cast is fantastic, and I think that it will have some incredible moments throughout it. I have faith that that'll be a good movie. The next one, we have Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die. This movie looks like one of the most original movies I have seen in a really long time. The first time I saw the trailer, I was hooked immediately, not just because you see the man, the myth, the legend, Sam Rockwell walking up looking crazy as hell, but because the director is the person who directed the early Pirates of the Caribbean movies that were all phenomenal. So I'm very excited about this movie. I think it has probably the biggest range of like, it could be really great, it can really suck, but the cast is fantastic and it looks very fresh, which is what I'm excited about for it. Then we have the movie Crime 101, which looks like an incredibly fun heist movie. I feel like it's really hard to mess up a heist movie. The cast looks absolutely entertaining, and I think that overall this movie just looks like it'll be a fun thrill ride. I actually don't have a whole lot to say about it. I just think that it's funny. If you haven't seen the trailer for this movie, it has a bunch of people who have been nominated for Oscars, and the main character is played by Chris Hemsworth, and so when they get to the end of the trailer, they're like, Oscar nominated this person, Oscar nominated this person, Oscar nominated this person, Oscar winning this person. And then it gets to Chris Hemsworth and it's just like, just Chris Hemsworth. And I'm like, that's kind of awkward. He 100% should have got nominated for Best Supporting Role for Furiosa. I will die on that hill. But that being said, that movie just looks like it'll be a fun time and it will be very enjoyable. And then the last movie coming out February 13th, we have Nirvana the Band, the movie, the show. I don't know if I got that order correct, but this movie I keep getting trailers for, absolutely hilarious. The guy from Blackberry is in this, and he's just one of my favorite comedians working today. This one 100% is just a personal preference. I don't know what Nirvana the Band, the show is, but the fact that they're doing a Nirvana the Band, the show, the movie, just to me is absolutely fucking hilarious. Like, I personally was a really big fan of High School Musical, the series, and I think that it's just, when it has a stupid-ass name like that, they kind of know the kind of jokes and the kind of sense of humor that their audience is going to have, and that's my sense of humor. So I think that this will be a very funny movie that I will very much enjoy, but I don't think it's going to be on anybody else's list. So, now that I've spent a really long time doing that, I'm so sorry, let's get into my top 10. Alrighty, coming in 10th place, a very Alrighty, and coming in 10th place, a movie that can be so very hit or miss. We have the Street Fighter movie. Whenever they started announcing the casting for this movie, and they were like, oh, we got Orville Peck, you know, that random country singer who's always wearing a mask. Oh, we got Andrew Schultz, you know, the guy who has a really terrible podcast. And they're casting all these random people who have nothing in common with each other, and everybody's like, what the hell are they doing? This is going to be so ridiculous and stupid. Why are they casting these people? This is awful. And you see the first trailer, and you see all of these characters look like the ridiculous 80s characters, like if you just ripped them straight out of the old arcade game, and they're going to be fighting. It's going to be fighting tournament style. There's going to be some great action choreography. This movie actually has potential to be phenomenal. I think that this movie knows exactly what it's going for. It has a specific tone that it's looking for, and it is absolutely going to capitalize on it. I think that the weird casting decisions are very unique, and if you have weird casting decisions, you don't cast somebody like Orville Peck without having a valid thought process or reasoning for it. And I think that this movie has potential to just be incredibly campy and weird and fun and very just entertaining. I think if nothing else, this will be a great movie to just watch and rewatch and rewatch. And so I'm excited for it. Coming in 9th place, anytime they make a superhero movie about a character that's relatively obscure, I think it's going to be great. I'm putting the Clayface movie. I think that this movie has an insane amount of potential. Mike Flanagan has worked on it. Mike Flanagan, an incredible writer when it comes to most horror series and franchises that he's been a part of. And I think that for the most part, this is a show/movie. It's a movie. I don't know why I said show. This is a movie that does not get greenlit unless you have a great pitch for it. And I think that James Gunn has a whole lot of faith in this project. DC is only releasing 2 movies next year, and one of them is Clayface. They know something we don't. And I think that this movie has an insane amount of potential. The casting looks fantastic. A lot of the behind-the-scenes shots we're seeing look great. I think they're going to be doing a lot of practical effects. I think this movie's going to look really good. Coming in 8th place, I'll be honest, this movie just got onto my list. We have Masters of the Universe. So originally, I had written down the 10 movies I was most anticipated for. I wrote these down about a week ago. The Masters of the Universe trailer released this week, and oh my good God, it kind of blew me away. When we first heard that they were making this movie, I got insanely excited. I was like, this is going to be a really interesting movie. It has the chance to have a really cool aesthetic. It has the chance to be very campy. It can be super ridiculous and over the top and just dumb, fun action. And Nicholas Galitzines is such a great comedic actor that him being this main character has a shit ton of potential. So I personally was like, you know what? I'm on board for this. I think it could be great. And then the first set of behind the scenes pictures came out, and they showed, oh, they're doing the trope of, oh, he's an American regular person living a regular day-to-day life. And then he's going to randomly go off to this crazy world and have to fight this fight. And it's going to be one of those stories. And I was like, this is terrible. I hate when they do the fish out of water trope, and I feel like this could have ruined the movie. And then you see the trailer and they instantly explain exactly why they're doing it, and it makes perfect sense. This is a character who's felt connected to the world already. He's somebody who's wanted to be a part of it but just couldn't because as a child they sent him away. And the way that they're kind of building it up looks fantastic. All of the characters look phenomenal. The CGI looks great. The sci-fi world that they're going to be on looks incredible. I'm very excited about this. Coming in 7th place, this one was originally higher on my list, but we have the Avatar, The Legend of Aang. This is an animated movie that's coming out next year, and remember a couple of years ago when they started working on the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender show for Netflix, and there was a lot of drama behind the scenes, and it came out that the original creators for the show ditched the project, and everybody panicked, and everybody was like, oh no, this is not good. They left the project. This project has to be really bad. It's going to be another fail at this franchise. We're so upset. And then a couple months later, it goes by, and it comes out that they didn't leave because of creative differences or anything like that. They left because they were creating their own film studio, and they were going to continue to make their own cinematic universe of Avatar movies. And this is the first one of those, and I'm insanely excited about it. I was so pumped. I'm like, this has the potential to be the best animated movie that's coming out this year. And then they announced it's going to be releasing straight to Paramount Plus. Not in a theater, because why would we put this movie in a theater? Do they not know that the highest grossing movies every year are animated movies? And especially the last 5 years. You look at it, the Mario movie did absolutely phenomenal. Inside Out 2 broke records. Moana 2 made $1 billion, and that wasn't even supposed to be a theatrically released movie. I think this is such a dumb decision for this to not be theatrically released. But that being said, with it not being theatrically released, I don't know if I'll enjoy it as much. I really hate Paramount Plus. I've been very open about it. I think it's one of the worst streaming services when it comes to like the overall platform, the accessibility of it. There's just a lot of issues with it, and I'm really upset to see that this one's going to be a streaming exclusive movie when Paramount has shown they have no problems making a bunch of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies even if they bomb. They have no problems making a bunch of Transformers movies if they bomb, but they're not going to give Avatar a chance, which kills me because Avatar fans are so ride or die, it's not even funny. Now, coming in 6th place, we have one of the best working directors today, Greta Gerwig's movie. This one, almost similarly to the last one, could have potentially been a streaming exclusive movie. However, Greta Gerwig got it in the contract. This movie's going to be releasing in IMAX for at least a couple of weeks. I'm insanely excited about this. I don't know anything about the specific Narnia movie that this is, but I do know one thing about the Narnia movies, which is they are fantasy franchises. And I am somebody who really got into fantasy movies when I was a kid. I thought that they were really cool. I think that it's one of the coolest genres. And in the last couple of years, in the last like 10, 15 years, they've really kind of shied away from making fantasy movies and switching fully into sci-fi. And as much as I like sci-fi movies, and they are kind of my bread and butter, if there's a sci-fi movie, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to watch it. It kind of really sucks that sci-fi movies kind of took over the spot that fantasy movies used to have. They don't make movies like The Princess Bride anymore. And it's kind of sad if you think about it. The last high-profile fantasy movie that we've had, aside from Dungeons & Dragons that came out in 2023, was probably over a decade ago. So I'm insanely excited for this movie to come out. I think it has a whole lot of potential. I think that it's going to be phenomenal because Greta Gerwig, everything she touches strikes gold for the most part. And I think that this movie will be an incredible movie to see opening weekend in IMAX. And I mean, if we're speaking about IMAX, we got to include the man, the myth, the legend himself. This is where I have the Christopher Nolan, The Odyssey, in my number 5 spot. I think that this movie is going to be breathtaking. It's going to be phenomenal. A lot of people are constantly like, Nolan's due for a miss. He's not going to miss with The Odyssey. He's not going to miss with this cast. Every single person in this movie is basically an A-list actor. It's absolutely phenomenal. The trailers are absolutely incredible. They're encapsulating this incredible vibe. I think that the lighting, the darkness in this movie, it looks incredible. It looks like it's going to be super cinematic. And it's a story that is as old as, I was going to say A Tale as Old as Time. That's Beauty and the Beast. I love Beauty and the Beast. That's not what we're talking about. But this movie looks like it's going to be incredible. I think that overall, the cast alone is a great reason why you should go watch this movie. And the fact that it's filmed 100% in IMAX is also phenomenal. So overall, I think it's going to be great. I think that there's not really enough you can say about this movie because it's one of the most read books of all time being turned into a movie by one of the most successful directors of all time. Yeah, it's going to be good. But now, coming in 4th place, we have Avengers Doomsday. This might be one of the biggest events of this year. This might be the highest grossing movies of this year. But I will say, I honestly am incredibly on the fence about it. Every single time something comes out about this movie, and there's like, oh, here's this teaser. Oh, here's this picture. Oh, here's this thing. It kind of makes me a little bit more nervous. This movie has an insane amount of characters. And even if this movie ends up being like 3 hours and 12 minutes or something like that, I don't know how you fit all of these characters into this movie without it feeling rushed. And a lot of the stuff that's currently coming out about this movie is a lot of people saying, oh, this movie is going to be the most action-packed Marvel movie we've ever had. It's just going to be nonstop action. The opening sequence is going to be an action sequence, and they're just never going to take their foot off the gas. And that, to me, actually is more of a red flag. That's kind of scary. And the Russo brothers have done horrible work since they left Marvel. So, yes, they can come back and they can potentially do a really good job with this ensemble cast, but it's a lot of work, and it is very scary. So I have high hopes for it. I think I'll definitely be watching it opening night, but I don't think I could put it higher than these other movies on my list. Coming in 3rd place, and I know this is probably controversial, but I got Supergirl. I think the second they casted Millie Alcock for this role, and the second they said, hey, we're basing this off of the Woman of Tomorrow comic book, I thought, this is phenomenal. This is exactly what we need right now. A standalone Supergirl movie that takes place kind of based off of the best comic of probably the last 10 years. This should be really good. I think that the bar for this movie is incredibly high, and the low bar for this movie is just couple of pegs down. I think that this movie could be incredible. I think that the action sequences are going to be fantastic, and I'm very excited to see a DC movie that is not directed by James Gunn, which is weird because when the trailer came out, it felt like Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm hoping that the movie itself doesn't have that much of a similar vibe and that it just happens to be that one planet where she meets the girl and she's partying at the beginning of the movie, but we will see. I think that the visuals look great, the costuming looks great, the action sequences, even though we only get a couple of spurts of it there, look fantastic. I have a lot of faith in this movie. Coming in second place, even when they first announced this movie over a year ago, I was like, yeah, this is probably my most anticipated movie. We have Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping. Suzanne Collins is the GOAT. I don't read a lot of books. I bought this book and I'm going to read it before this movie comes out. I gotta work on that. I'm not great at reading. But that being said, one thing that I love about Suzanne Collins, as opposed to a lot of other writers, is she writes stuff when she has a important message she needs to send. She only writes books when she has something she needs to say, when she has stuff that's politically driven, she has stuff that has so much passion behind it that it's kind of weird to think about the fact that, like, sometimes you'll watch a movie and you can tell that, like, oh, the person who wrote this movie is just trying to get a paycheck. Suzanne Collins is not like that. This movie should be absolutely phenomenal, and they released the trailer and oh my god, the colors are phenomenal. The casting looks perfect. I think that this movie is going to be absolutely phenomenal, and I will be shocked if this movie doesn't walk away with at least one Oscar. I don't know how the Hunger Games franchise don't have a single Oscar yet. It is insane to me that they don't. But that being said, that's my number 2. You guys already know what number 1's going to be. And coming in first place, to absolutely nobody's surprise, we have Spider-Man Brand New Day. I mean, come on. After Spider-Man No Way Home, and they kind of revealed, oh, this first trilogy, that was actually just his origin story. I am so insanely amped for this movie. I have no idea what to expect about this movie. And that, unlike a lot of these other films where I'm like, oh, if I don't know what's going on, I'm scared about it, Tom Holland said, I'm not signing on to this movie until we have a script that's good. And considering how long it took for this movie to get greenlit and for them to start working on the production for it, I trust that. There's probably a couple of scripts that they gave him and he's like, no, I'm good. Jon Bernthal is an actor who, he was not going to return for Daredevil when originally Daredevil Born Again had his character in it, and he didn't like the way that Punisher acted. He's like, that's not my Punisher. I'm not doing it. So to have Jon Bernthal in here, it tells me that the Punisher stuff is going to be really good Punisher stuff. To have Tom Holland signed on tells me that Spider-Man's going to have a really cool journey. He's going to have a really cool arc. He's going to have a lot to do. And all of the behind-the-scenes footage of him swinging from building to building looks incredible. Daniel Destin Cretton, the director for Shang-Chi, doing the action sequences for a Spider-Man movie. This is going to be probably one of the best looking action sequences for any Spider-Man movies ever of all time. And just overall, the amount of characters that are going to be in this film. I think that for some people you would say, like, especially when I said this about Doomsday, it's kind of like, oh my god, this is overwhelming. But like, the Incredible Hulk Mark Ruffalo is going to be in this movie. The Punisher Jon Bernthal is going to be in this movie. Spider-Man joining the MCU was a big deal because it's like, oh my god, we're going to see Spider-Man interacting with these other characters. And there's been a lot of times he's been in, swinging around New York, and it's like, okay, well, this is just Spider-Man's New York. There are other New York-based characters, and I'm glad we're going to see that. I'm so insanely excited to see what they do with this, and I think it has a lot of potential. So, that being said, that was my top 10 most anticipated movies of this year. Sorry that video was probably insanely long. I like to talk a lot. But if you guys also like to talk about movies a lot and you guys are still here, I would totally recommend liking and subscribing. I'm currently in the middle of a series that's not going super well. 100 Films in 100 Days. I'm getting back on that horse. I'm going to be watching a lot of movies coming up. And there's a lot to talk about. I'm also probably going to make a video about Wonder Man once I get around to fully watching that show. But that being said, that might be a little further down the pipeline. We'll see. But yeah, that being said, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching. And if you liked it, feel free to like and subscribe. And I'll hopefully see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bow. Bow. Bow.